Hello and welcome to Meet Our Makers, an artist interview podcast produced in association with Beats Per Minute. I'm your host, Jeremy J. Facette. On this episode, we get to meet Baths. Baths is the pseudonym of multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, producer Will Wiesenfeld, who has just released his newest record as Baths and his first one in many years as Baths, called Gut. In this chat, Will and I go pretty deep into Gut, the themes of it, the lyrics, the musicality of it, which takes more of a sort of band, rock kind of approach than he's typically known for on his past Baths albums. We go really deep into a lot of the content here, which revolves heavily around Will's thought processes and relationships and experiences with his own sex and sexuality and sort of the spaces that has taken him to in his life. It's a very, very raw and blunt record. And this conversation is really, truly just as candid. At one point, Will says he's as open book as I want him to be. And I can attest to that. It is absolutely true. He is super frank, super forthright, and I was so appreciative of that. We also talk about his score work, including his work on the film Big Boys. We go on a tangent about the gay mecca that is Provincetown. It's a little circuitous, but in the best way, as they always are. Will is a bit of a chatterbox, which I love. And I just really appreciate him taking the time out and being so honest and down to chat. So thank you for listening. This is me meeting Baths.
Of lead up to announcing this record that I have coming out, and myself and my manager have put like a lot of work into all that, and every day are still doing stuff. And the reason it's so crazy is because I'm self-releasing for the first time on this scale. Like I self-released a Geotic tape earlier this year, which was also really complicated, but I think less involved. There's like 10 times as many moving parts for a release of this scale for me. So it's like, it's a lot. I'm learning every day. I'm learning something new or messing something up. So
that's okay. We should say, as of this recording, we're actually about a week out from the announcement of this album.
Cool. Okay.
Which is kind of fun for me. I feel privy to some secret information.
Yeah.
So you've been teasing a little bit on your social media. I'm sure savvy fans know something is coming. But I don't usually talk to people when the announcement hasn't even been made yet. I'm actually very curious, sort of, I guess you kind of answered my question, but I was very curious, like how you cope with this weird limbo that you're in, because you're like ready to go, I presume, but like, you can't yet.
I mean, it's a good question because I feel like so much of the releasing of this record has been like a waiting game and just a level of patience that you just sort of have to have. And also like I guess relatively young, like I'm 36 right now. I'm pretty sure it might be 35. I keep forgetting. I swear. I'm pretty sure I'm 36. And I've already been doing whatever I'm doing for 16 years, which is pretty crazy. And so I've had enough kind of like understanding of how long it takes to put something out if you are putting it out on a larger scale. And the patience with this record has been like twice as long as anything else, but I'm still very versed in that feeling of just like, you just bide your time. You know what I mean? Like I have to do one day at a time, especially because there's so much stuff I have to do still. Like, we're like basically a week or a little less than a week out from the announce at the time of this recording. And I still have stuff I have to do every day leading up to the release. So, it's crazy, but it's good. Good crazy.
Yeah, good. And it has been like 7 years or something since the last actual Baths record.
Yes.
Obviously, you've done other projects and scoring, and we'll touch on some of those a bit later. But how did you sort of realize that these new songs were going to be this new Baths record and not some other project? Because you are kind of a guy who wears a lot of hats and does a lot of things at the same time. But how did you know that Baths that it was the time for Baths to come back?
Well, I think I don't know if this is different from how other artists are that maybe do a bunch of different things, but like I have a lot of intentionality usually when I'm like putting something together, and like I had an idea of a record I wanted to make. Like a lot of the Baths, I think all of the Baths records are kind of like a concrete understanding of something I wanted to achieve, like a type of record I wanted to exist that either I hadn't made yet or I felt maybe I had a certain lack of in the world or something like that. Whatever it is, I don't know. Some feeling like that where I was just like, oh, I need to pursue this. And so this record was just starting to act on that. I just started making much more band-oriented sounding stuff, meaning like guitar, bass, drums, and then using that as a skeletal structure for how things would sound, and then kind of branching out from that. And just things kind of lined up. There were some songs that happened maybe before that recording process that still emotionally made sense with where I was going with the record. So it kind of goes all over the place, but there was never a point in time where I was like working on a song during the sort of like recording phase of this record being like, oh, this is a song for something else. It was like everything I was working on was like, oh, this is part of this record that I am working on. And a lot of songs go through tons and tons and tons of drafts. I've done a lot of like teaching this past year, which is very new for me, and a lot of talking about the production process for me, or the recording process, artistic process, whatever it is just how much a thing can change from where you think it is supposed to go or where it starts. You know what I mean? So I am like perfect example, I guess, of how that can happen. Like one song that starts as one thing goes through like 12 drafts and ends up in a completely different spot from where I thought it was going to be. So
Right.
I don't know. Also, I talk a lot. Sorry.
No, I love it. Please talk.
Okay.
Also, for the record, for people beyond yourself, I'm like on week 4 of a cold right now, so it just will not go away. So this is why I might sound weird or mute myself to cough my brains out.
Understood.
I'm trying to suppress everything.
Sounds great to me, to be honest. Sounds great. So
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I noticed that too. So I was able to listen to most of the new record before I actually just listened to it this afternoon.
Sick.
And that was one of my main questions. Was it does feel a lot more band oriented, despite the fact that looking at the credits I was sent, it's not like there's a whole band here. Like you did do a lot of the stuff yourself. Obviously not everything, but you did do a lot of stuff yourself. But was there like a big reason why you kind of went in this direction? Did it feel like something to challenge yourself or something new? Or is this just kind of like it happened to go this way?
It was a mix of things. It's always a mix of things. But I think one of the things was I found it funny that I hadn't done a record like this yet in full force, just because so much of my life comes from like that sort of aesthetic universe. You know what I mean? Like I was in a math rock band before I was ever doing Baths or anything like that. I played bass and guitar and stuff forever. I've always liked drums. I'm not good at them, but, you know, I've fooled around on them, etc. And I guess I can like program drums fairly well, but blah, blah, blah. Just the point being that like I had a push to try that because I hadn't done it, but also I just felt like I had something to say with that sort of aesthetic sound. And then emotionally, the kind of lyrical ground I was trying to tackle with the record made so much sense with this kind of mix of influences pushed through guitar, bass, drum sound, where it's like I was listening to a lot of like noise rock and post-punk, and at the same time a bunch of super emotive pop music and electronic or whatever else I listen to, because I'm always listening to a billion different things. But it was just kind of like this funneling effect that happens where whatever sound I was working on with these songs, I was like, this makes sense for me. I feel like I can be as directly emotional about what I'm trying to say with this feeling behind it, more so than anything else I would try and achieve. Like if I was trying to make all of these songs from like an electronic specifically only place, I could get away with it, but it just wouldn't hit the same way. You know what I mean? And I needed it to hit like you were listening to a rock band type of thing. So.
Yeah, and I mean there is such an immediacy to this kind of sound. Whereas your past Baths records kind of are more sort of bathed in like abstraction and sound
It's very
play.
direct.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
this is super direct. I mean, even beyond the lyrics, which are also quite direct, but even the music is quite direct. Right from the top all the way to the end. And it's
Yeah.
also like, I mean, maybe it's just because I haven't listened that closely enough, but it sounded quite dry too. Like there's so much less reverb
Yes.
than or vocal effects or anything like that. Like there might be some stuff on the music, but your voice pretty much remains dry.
Yeah, I use the word nudity throughout the entire
I
recording
have the word
process.
naked in my notes somewhere.
Yeah, it's like it's a thing I talk about all the time with production as being one of my favorite things and my favorite aesthetics in hearing a band's sound. I like when there's like a lot less obstruction of the original sounds of something, but they're just recorded really well and
Yeah.
presented really well. And so even when you talk about a sound that is really maybe bizarre and out there and strange or whatever, but presented really direct and clean, I'm a big fan of that type of thing. I feel like folks who do that in a really expert way are like Portishead, you know what I mean? Where you'll hear like the weirdest sound you've ever heard, but it's so clear, like you
Yeah.
can understand exactly the sound that you're hearing, be able to sort of not partition, what's the word? Differentiate it from other things that you're hearing and just be like, I can hear that even if I don't know what sound I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So that kind of thinking when it comes to the production process is something I was super inspired by. I like doing that a lot. And so doing it with a band sound, I don't think it's anything new. Like I didn't make a record that I'm like, the sound of this is like, nobody's ever heard it before. It's nothing like that. It's just that it's new for me.
Right.
So it felt like a really big playground for like trying out all these different kinds of band aesthetic ideas and making sure that they locked in emotionally to the lyrical things that I was trying to say. So.
Yeah. Was there ever an urge to try to make this with a full band, or did you always want to do most of it yourself?
Yes, but I think about things too realistically for this sort of thing. I think there are artists and bands with a lot more privilege going into a process like this where they can say, I want to have 3 other band members or whatever sort of on staff almost or working together with me all at the same time through this entire recording process. But you have to think about that concept for me, like the idea of like going to a studio, saying I want to book a month there, and then having 3 other band members who are compensated for their time, or even if they're not, they're like part of a band in a permanent way.
Yeah.
And that we work on the thing together. And I literally just do not have that. I do not have the resources to make that happen. And so that's not a thing I'm saying to complain about. It's just like, I understand my own circumstances very well. I know what I'm good at and I know how to make things work. So it was never like a problem to me. I was like, I can play guitar, I can sing, I can play bass, I can write drum parts, I can write whatever parts I need. I put together all the string music and then we just recorded with them in a day. And so those things, like strings and like drums, where I couldn't record them on my own, we just made like days of it. Like we did all of the strings in one day, which was insane. And that was like 2021. It was like a long time ago, but like,
Oh, wow.
all of that stuff. Like it was a lot of things like that of just sort of me doing everything on my own as much as I could. And then when it hit a threshold of not being able to accomplish it, you go to a studio for a set price and a set amount of time and whatever, and then be like, oh my God, that cost a lot of money.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this was one day? Okay, now I get why. Now I get why I wasn't doing that.
So I still have the dream in the back of my head, of like, if somebody's like, hey, like, come do a residency here and we'll pay for the month or whatever. I'm like, of course I would do that. And if I could finagle a way to have a whole band, or not even just be at a studio professionally for like a month or 2 months or whatever it is, of course I would do those things. I just am realistic about where I stand, and I wasn't going to go bankrupt and not exist trying to make a record. I just can't do that.
So your parts, which is, probably like 75% of this record, they were all home recorded?
Yes.
Okay.
The only stuff that wasn't were string parts and then some drum parts. There are drum parts that were like recorded samples from a live drummer that I then programmed myself, or I wrote all the drum parts entirely myself. But then I think 6 songs have like drum parts from friends of mine that are drummers that I either told them exactly what I was hoping for or asked them to improvise, and then I cut up their improvisation and restructured it into a part and then sort of replayed it to them and said, okay, can you play this now, or whatever it was. So I got ideas and input. It was very collaborative from both of them to try and get those parts to where I wanted them. So it was great.
It also just hit me, we have not said the name of this album yet.
That's true. I'm still in the mindset of not talking about it.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like there's
Will's secret project.
Yeah, like I'm still secret brained about it, so I'm never saying anything. But yeah, the album is called Gut.
Yes, it is called Gut, and it is out February 21st. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you recorded at home, and it's so interesting to me when I get to speak to or even just think about artists like yourself who record something like this, which is sort of more rock adjacent, more full band adjacent, almost like has that indie rock feel that a lot of Bath's work in the past kind of hasn't had. But then you also make stuff like Geotic and your score work, which is so different and quite minimalistic in a way that this new album, I don't consider this new album very minimalistic.
I don't either. Yeah.
So it's interesting when I, hear that it's all sort of recorded in the same place. But it's fun. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, like, can I say like a really silly thing that
Of course.
a long time ago, my dad, I think, had this phrase for the way I tried to put things together where like at one point in the garage or something, I said like, can I steal like an old 2-gallon milk carton that we had? And he was like, what for? And I like made a frame out of it. That's not important, but just that action that I did with all this stupid crafty stuff. He told me, he was like, oh, you have such a like 3D brain, or you think in such a 3D way. And I thought that was really funny because I didn't think it was true. But I like to remind myself that he had said that because I think it translates somehow to the way I kind of think about music. Like when I am making a song, a lot of the time I'm thinking way ahead of where it resides. You know what I mean? Like I have a lot of ideas beyond exactly the guitar part I'm playing in that moment or whatever. And I'm kind of emotionally feeling all of the things that it needs, where I'm like, I do want drums in this part, but they're going to have to be like 3 times as fast as the way this part feels. Or if I have vocals here, I need them to be subdued. And those are just like present thoughts. Like even if I'm not acting on those impulses in that moment while I'm working on other parts of the music. So I'm not trying to be like, I think any different than anybody else, but it's just like, I think in a layered way like that. And a lot of the minimal stuff that I do, like Geotic and some score work, is a conscious exercise of abandoning that, of forcing myself to think of only one thing at a time versus like trying to build the entire atmosphere and environment of a piece of music with a bunch of different things happening. So,
right. And you mentioned earlier that the strings were done like 3 years ago. How long has this record been done?
There's a lot with that. It was fully mastered and completed in 2022.
Okay.
So I can say that here. I think it's going to be secret in the way that we talk about it out in the world, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind saying that because it's the truth. And if I tried to lie about the process of this record, I would start tripping over myself. So it was done a long time ago, and I just had some personal turmoil that kind of like extended the date of when this thing had to come out. And this year has been much, much better on all of that front. And it's been a really smooth process trying to get it together. But again, self-releasing is still a beast of an action. And like, it takes so much work trying to make that work. Cause I basically like, I have a label in name, but so far it's like only my own music that we're putting it out. So I'm basically pretending to be a record label at the same time. Me working directly with my manager, we're doing so much to like put all the assets together. Like I also made, directed, edited like a music video, produced it, I guess technically, because I had to pay for it out of pocket, all that sort of shit. It's like you just end up doing 1,000 things, and I don't have time to like take stock of anything. I am just doing things every day.
I get
I
it.
don't know what I'm answering. I'm just telling you.
No, I love. Tell me everything, Will. I don't care. All right, so pretty soon you'll get to announce this record, and along with that comes
Yes.
the first single, "Sea of Men." Can you kind of unpack this one for us? Like, what is this one about, and sort of like how come this one feels like a good like first taste for you of this record?
I'll talk about it sonically first,
Sure.
because I think that's why it's the first single, is that I think it's a comfortable middle ground of a lot of the things on the record, where like it's very bandy and straightforward in sound, very clean kind of production style, but still some sort of, I guess, audio experiments and some strange sounds in it that I think start to translate more to when the record itself gets a little more experimental in sound and nature. So it's kind of right in between. It's not like super, super, super rock, and it's not super, super experimental. It's just kind of a lot of things. And then lyrically, it's one of the most direct efforts of all the stuff I'm trying to talk about on the record, where it's like very horny, but in a really, I guess, bummer way, which is nothing new for me. But I think in talking about it in the frank sort of way that I'm talking about it, where the song is called Sea of Men, and it's sort of talking about the overwhelming amount of sex I have in my life, but not in terms of like accomplishment or pride or anything like that, but sort of the mess of what that makes of my brain and my psyche and my relationship to myself, my relationship to other people. And it just kind of wears you down and makes you feel like less and less complete. And there's a lot of sort of like sensory lyrics in it about how just things feel and smell. And yeah, it's kind of a mess of a subject that I think is dealt with in a really messy way. And the song needed to have a lot of misplaced energy in it. And so I think that's kind of the feel of it, is that it's driving and it's really direct, but it's also like, I don't know what the answer is, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, so lyrically across the board, I mean, save for maybe like one or two songs, the record is very much about sex and very much about, beyond just the physicality of it, the before and after of it, the emotional undercurrent of it. As you're talking about this big first single, I mean, it is a driving sort of pop rocky kind of tune, but you're right, there is like that bummer angle of like,
very banal,
right? What are we doing here? Like, what is this to me? What is it now? What was it then? What will it be? Like, there's a lot of, I felt like
why do I keep doing it? Et cetera,
right? Like, I caught a lot of those like almost like out of body experience type observations across this record of like, where did I come from? What's happening now? And what will this be?
Yeah.
And so you're very direct, as you say. It's very frank. It's very explicit without being like, it's not like a softcore porn record, but like you're not skirting around at all.
No, it's almost like talking about those things analytically in a weird way, in like a kind of a detached, cold way, which is sort of the ethos of this record, like it being called Gut. Everything about it was supposed to be like from the stomach. Like that's the whole idea, is that if most of the music that you write, you are intentionally writing from the heart. I wanted to write like a reactionary record where I'm just talking about the things that I'm feeling or thinking as they happen and as I feel them, without trying to make them romanticized or embellished. It's just kind of like, this, I feel this way about this thing. Or like there's an entire song about how much I dislike somebody. It's just mean, like on
Which one
purpose.
Is that?
You know what I mean? It's American Mythos. It's just like railing on a relationship that I'm in. You know what I mean? Just being horrible to the other person. And it ends with this refrain of like, I hate us, I hate it all, I hate it all. And it's just things like that where it's like, that's not like great for a pop song, but it's like, it's the thing that is there and the feeling that is there. And so starting there, and then maybe a little bit of finessing that goes on, but trying to be trying to treat those things as gospel as much as possible, and just being like, those feelings are the honest part of it, and that I have to work my way around that to keep that intact and whatever. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's not like so like your past Bath's music, like you said before, you kind of alluded to earlier. It's not like these are entirely new subjects for your music, but
Definitely not.
we've
Yeah.
already discussed kind of how this record is a lot more upfront about it and maybe less abstract about it. But at the same time, you've also never been shy about who you are with your public persona. Like your social media is very funny and very frank and
Yeah.
very direct. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen you post about like Mr. Incredible, which is
Yes. Yes.
wonderful, and I love that. But like that's what I mean. So it's like almost like this finally thing of like I feel like people who've been following you and your career for a while now are going to be like, here is like Baths distilled down to like I don't know the truest essence. I don't know how to phrase what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
No, but I feel like that's kind of the hope. Like, I don't think
Okay.
you're out of step there, and I don't think that's a grandiose way of putting it. I think
Okay.
that's kind of what I'm trying to do is that it's like with anybody, I would imagine you want to be a multifaceted person, and I know that I am that. I can confidently say that I feel that way. I have a lot of varied interests. I have a lot of varied ways of expressing myself and all of that. But the stuff that is like not as easy to make sense to other people is the way that I feel about sex and how it makes me feel. Because in conversation with friends, it's very easy to make jokes and laugh about all that sort of stuff. Like, especially like I have an attraction to like older men, you know what I mean? Like very specifically, which is a very funny thing to talk about. And I get caught up in that. But then there's like, you know, the hours after I've hung out with my friends and I think about how fucked up it is that every time I talk about who I'm attracted to, I am laughing or I have to make other people laugh. And I have
Right.
to just sit with that, you know, for weeks and months and just be like, I kind of feel like shit all the time being normal with other people. And so a lot of this record is going into the thickness of all of that and just being like, those things are real things that I feel and I need to talk about them and I need to sing about them and do whatever it is that I do artistically with that being the backdrop so that I, regardless of other people, I can make those things make sense to myself and
Right.
feel valid in the way that I feel about my sexuality, my relationship to sex, my relationship to men, and kind of where I need to go from here to move forward with my life. You know what I mean? Because especially like this was most of this record was created like at the early stages of COVID or pre-COVID, like it was pre-pandemic and all of that. And it wasn't like one of the most personal devastations of that time for me emotionally. And this is not to be reductive at all of the pandemic or anything like that, was basically that my lifestyle of like not going out too much, randomly seeing a man every now and then or whatever, nothing about my lifestyle like changed from before pandemic to during pandemic. And that was really devastating to me where I was like, oh my God, like I'm barely being a person a lot of the time. And I think I appear very different online because I'm very exuberant and boisterous. And so part of that
don't we
was, yeah, exactly. And so part of that was what is coming through in the lyrics and what I'm trying to talk about, where it's just this like loss of self and that everything is instinct. Everything is just trying to find dopamine to feel something or anything or whatever. And so even though so much of the record is probably bleak and I don't know, Bummer Town, as I've said in a joking way to people I've been talking to, it's something that helps me so much to be that direct about it.
Yeah.
I think if I am not direct about it or I sort of cloak it in some sort of way more romanticized version of those thoughts or things, it just adds to that sensation that I talked about earlier of like joking about the fact that I am attracted to older men. It's just kind of like burying it further or making it less and less important to me, or not less important, but like less valid, less real.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
I just, being frank was important. And I think the sound of the record of all the aesthetic choices I made were what made the frankness of what I was talking about make sense.
Yeah. And I mean, you said these songs were mostly written now it's years ago.
Yes.
Are these like old feelings for you, or are they things that you've carried with you?
Both. I think a lot of them are stuff that were like feelings that are very old that I've
Yeah.
carried over ever since even before I came out, decades. And then some are things that I'm comfortably moving past and getting into a much better headspace about. One of the biggest things being that I moved much closer to where friends live. I used to live in Los Angeles, like 45 minutes out from kind of the main parts of the city where most of my friends lived. I lived in an area called Santa Clarita, which was like its own mess. But it's fine enough. There's good people there. All the CalArts folks go there, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But like, it's also very red and very, very like Republican and like not the vibe. Like my entire gym is like mostly ex-military, except for a couple of really cool friends that I made, but blah, blah, blah. My point being, I moved much closer to like culture and people I know. Yeah. And I sold my car a few months ago. I'm like riding my bike everywhere and like everything is close enough for that to work. I just feel like so much more of a person than I have felt in forever. And so even apart from the record, because the record was done well before any of that move, it's just like, it's just different. I feel very different and very, very good. The irony being that I have to talk about Sad Bastard music, but I think that's the irony of my entire career is like, sure. I'm a very genuinely, for the most part, happy person, but I'm always talking about my Sad Bastard music,
Yeah, it's the eternal struggle, isn't it? Yeah, but like at the same time, I mean, if you are confident in the progress you've made since a lot of these songs were written and the bettering of yourself in your life at this point, then I would hope and presume that playing these songs live or even talking about them won't be a bummer for you.
No. Right. And honestly, like the more emotional or devastating or whatever you want to call it, a song is, the easier it is for me to play because it's easier to tap into the emotions that I was trying to make sense of. Yeah. And performing is a very, very cathartic action. I don't know how it can be that way for other people where something is like too hard emotionally, or that's not true. I can totally get it being too emotional to perform or something like that. But the whole thing is it's like, that's the conduit for me. That's where I work that shit out better than anywhere is because I can like fully physically and in body and in voice express how those things make me feel. Whereas it's like, I can't just like over dinner start yelling at my friends about how sad I am. I mean, I could, but I would have a lot less friends if I was doing that every night. Whereas if I do that every single night on tour in front of a bunch of people, it works for both of us. They love it and I feel much better and all that stuff. So I don't know. I don't think there will ever be a time where I will make something too emotional for me to perform or to play out because that is literally the point. The whole point is to make stuff that I can tap into and understand for as long as I would be playing that song. You know what I mean? That's the whole energy and the whole effort of everything that I do. So yeah.
Would you? I mean, I don't know how open book you want to get.
I'm as open book as it gets. I promise you.
I was gonna ask. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I was gonna ask. Do you feel like you do have a better relationship with sex now than you did when you were writing these songs?
It's a good question because I don't know if it's better, but it has that sheen of time where just enough time has passed that I think I approach things differently. Like I've been, I guess, less all over the place with it. I'm sort of taking more time often to like get to know a person before hooking up with them, whereas I was usually in the past much, much faster to making that happen. And a lot of the time I'm just like not, like I don't need to. I don't need to be hooking up as much as I did maybe 5 years ago or whatever it was. So it's more, I don't even think it's better necessarily. It's just different and maybe moving at a more slow or adult pace where I have more time to think about the things that I've done or the men I've hooked up with or how I feel about it or what I should maybe try looking for in the next person or if I want to date them or whatever it is. So I think I just have a little more time and perspective. I can't speak to whether it's better or not because who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
No, maybe that was unfair wording, but I see what
No,
you mean.
it's a good question though, because it's like I think about it that way too.
Yeah.
I think about like, am I doing better at this? There's literal lyrics on the record that are like, how does anybody do it? Like, how am I supposed to do this? Like all that sort of stuff, that kind of internal monologue of like, is anything that I am doing correct right now? Because I didn't have like a gay educator step in when I came out of the closet to be like, this is how you be a gay person. You know what I mean? It's just a mess for your life in a positive and negative way, and then you die. So,
well, as a fellow gay man, I totally get it.
yeah, this is our cross to bear, if you want to put it like that.
Yeah, no one tells you anything. Which kind of leads me to the closing track, which feels like such a summation of themes of like questioning yourself and doubt and just sort of wondering about where the past and future and present all meet. There's at least one line on that song about your childhood or a childhood. And then you end with this super huge crescendo where you are screaming your ass off.
Yeah.
Like total, almost like screamo screams, like throat shedding screams. And you're repeating this line, gotta hear myself say it. And I'm curious what the it is in that phrase.
I mean, just after that, it's like, it's so much of like, he's not gonna love me, gotta hear myself say it. And then some beauty just annihilates. And that's sort of the main refrain of the song is some beauty just annihilates. And the entire point of that song was that I fell for somebody as hard as you can possibly fall for somebody, but in a way that was very, very thoroughly one-sided, completely. Like there was no proper kind of engagement in like a relationship or even sex or anything like that. It was just an infatuation that was like horrible, like went way further in my mind than it ever should have gone. And all of the lyrics of that song are kind of like painting the picture of that, painting the projection of what I was thinking could happen or might have happened. And it's just like having to force myself to get more and more and more real about it and like reconcile how strong my feelings are with how unrequited they would always be, you know what I mean? And so the end of it, the catharsis of it is just basically like slapping yourself across the face and just being like, he's not going to love me over and over and over. And so there's a weird irony also with the title of the song being The Sound of a Blooming Flower and it being this weird, I don't know. First of all, the thing is that's not a sound. That is the point, is that it is a reference to a Bjork interview from a very, very long time ago and sort of a subject of something she was trying to achieve with the record Vespertine, where it was a thing she was trying to record. She was literally trying to record what it sounds like when a flower blooms, and it was like not something anybody could capture.
That sounds
and
like
it's
her.
like, yeah, and it's just that concept though was something that hit in a very poetic way where it's this idealized concept that is impossible. It is a thing that will not happen no matter what, but having the vision of it is still something that is tangible. And that's what it was. That song is dealing with that, dealing with this entire narrative and construction and emotional set of feelings and all of this stuff that is not a real thing. And then the end of it is being like, I have to not do that. And so it is a good thing and a catharsis, even though it's sort of like a negative wording of it, you know? So I don't know. Like anything else, it's complicated, but that's the point of that song, was to just get out of that in a little bit. So in the way that you asked me, like, am I any healthier, you know, sexually, like moving forward? I feel like that song is kind of like the first stepping stone into that territory. That's kind of the point and why it's at the end of the record.
Yeah, and that mantra too. I mean, you could look at a lot of the themes of the record through that lens of like, I got to hear myself say it, because as you're kind of illuminating for us, like a lot of these songs, even the ones that are a little bit less emotional or sad or whatever the word you want to use is, because the closer is pretty like brutal at times. Even those
a lot of the other ones, even if they are emotional, sometimes it's not as clear, you know? Like, I don't mind the obfuscation of exactly what a thing is supposed to be about, so that happens.
Right. But then, like, the whole record is you basically forcing yourself to say these things to yourself.
Yes.
So
very much so.
That's a fitting conclusion, I'd say.
Yeah. It's a good observation too. On your part.
Thanks. I just thought of it.
It's good. It's good. It's very real though.
So yeah. So I mean, it is, people often, and I think you're going to get this too. People love throwing the word brave around when records like this come out. Not that there aren't a ton of records about sex.
Oh, yeah.
At least not in an obvious way. Most people get the brave moniker if they're talking about like a breakup or a loss. Which is not to negate the bravery of, navigating those things. Yeah. But, I mean, do you feel like there's any big, like, chance that you're taking with talking about this stuff? Or do you feel like,
It's a good question, and I can answer it very, like, confidently that I think that's the wrong interpretation because brave would make it sound like I was afraid of any of these things. And I'm not trying to seem conceited or anything like that. It's just that it's necessary way more than it is a bravery thing. It was just like, this is what has to happen now. That's how all music and all art that I've ever made in my life has worked for me. Where if the thing is there and it's telling me to be made, I just make it. That's all it is. And so I just kind of have to submit to what my brain is telling me has to happen. And that's sort of what was going on with this record, where it was just like, I think it's way more fulfilling for me to talk about things really frankly and really directly in kind of like a less romanticized or alliterative way, and just be like one of my favorite lyrics on the record, devoid of any context as I'm saying it right now, is like sex on a tarp in an empty house, which is like, that gives you a lot of visuals and a lot of feeling and a lot of like, I need to know more about what that is, but it's kind of delivered with almost as little context. Yeah. And it's that kind of thinking and treating the actual sexual like experiences I've had in my life, where it's just like some things just happened and they just add into the pile of like emotional confusion that I have about who I am and what my relationship to sex is and other people and men and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I don't even know what I'm telling you anymore. Just that I don't think it's brave. I don't think that is appropriate or the right word for whatever it is that I do with music. I just have to be myself. And so that doesn't seem like a challenge anymore. The challenge is like doing the best version of that. I'm always going to do like what I want and make the records that I want to make. It's just like, am I doing it well enough? That's what's hard.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And that's not at all to like downplay the question, because it's a great question, and I'm happy to be like, no, I don't think I am brave.
I appreciate that. So switching gears, entirely without any grace. I wanted to talk about the film Big Boys, which you scored. I have not seen because I don't know how to see it.
It's a little bit of a challenge sometimes to see it, but I think if you go to the website itself, there's links to purchase it for download, but I think it's also coming to streamers later this year. And that's also why, not to like be so in my bag here about it, but like that's why
in your bag.
The soundtrack isn't on DSPs yet, is because the soundtrack will come out on DSPs when the film also comes out on streamers. That's kind of how it's going to work.
So you did the score for this film, which just got a nice little nod at the Indie Spirit Awards. So that's fun.
2 nominations.
What was the process of this like for you? Because you've scored before. It's not like this is the first time you've ever scored anything, but like I know from following your social media for years, I mean, this is the first time I've seen you be this like excited, I guess, about like sharing like, hey, I did the score for this film that's also really great. Like, what was it about this film, and how did you come to it?
Well, all the credit is placed on Corey, the director, Corey Sherman, who out of the blue reached out to me in an email. And it was just like, this sounds interesting. Like, if I'm going to commit to the idea of doing a feature-length score, something I had never done before. I'd only scored for television or whatever. So I was just like, I'm curious, but I have to know, if the film is something that I'm interested in. And the pieces of it that I got to see were already like, oh my God, this is so intact. Like the universe of this is so complete. The characters are so fleshed out. The writing is so good. The dialogue is like exactly how these things would go. I was kind of like very comfortably surprised. I just couldn't believe how good it was. Whereas like going into it, I probably would have said yes if it was like interesting. And I was like, oh, I think this is really cool. And it would be fun to try and put a score together. But I was just like, oh, I have to do this. This is great. This film is great. And so it was very easy for me to say yes to. The process was like, I don't know on the scale of how long it takes for other people to do things, but I think it was quite long, being that the movie was also being put together as the score was happening. Like I got in early enough that I could sort of help, do what I do to help influence how some parts of it may have come together in the edit, but kind of vice versa. I think that's not really fair. I think the edit had priority always, but like having the music helped. I think like Corey was able to work with it really well. And it was just the two of us back and forth, like the whole editing process and getting the score together. It was just Corey and I emailing back and forth, meeting in person a couple times, talking about stuff. And that was it. And then at the end of that process, I got to meet everybody else involved with the project. And it was so exciting. And everybody was so cool and good at what they did. So I don't know. Very long answer, but basically it was a thrill.
Yeah. Have you been to screenings? You have, right?
I did. Yeah. I got to go to its festival premiere with Corey in Provincetown, Massachusetts. Nice. So it was like a gay escape. I had never been there before.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. I was obsessed. I became like, I'm trying to phrase this delicately, but basically intentionally kind of like a local slut for a weekend and a half or whatever, because like we rented bikes and I rode my bike around in my fucking bathing suit the entire time I was there. And I was just like in my mode of like winking at old men and shit like that, just doing my shit.
There he goes.
Like I was having so much fun, and I can't even tell you psychologically what a place like that does for a gay brain, being that it's almost like a gay majority place.
No, you don't have to tell me. I live in Connecticut, so
oh my God.
I've been there many, many times.
Okay, yeah. So that feeling was something I had never experienced before in my entire life.
Yeah.
Where I like the undelicately, like the normalcy of it was profound to me, where I was just like, oh, everybody is like me, and I don't feel any weirdness or suppression or kind of like soft checking of how I am acting.
Because even in LA, I bet you feel that sometimes.
Oh yeah, everywhere in my life. Like if you are a gay person, like you're always going to be out and proud and doing like living the way you want to live always, but there's always an element of you that has to check for safety reasons. Sometimes there are certain places where you feel like you have to live a little quieter or do something a little less this way or that way. It's just the nature, again, of the mess of being a queer person or a gay person. And to just be in a place where like I could tell myself I don't have to feel that way, like firmly, I can just kind of be loose with it. I was like, this is fucked up. This is crazy. This is what it's like to be a straight person. Like,
right? No, seriously.
You know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
Like, that's where all that weird confidence and freedom comes from. It's like, oh, fucking, you are so much luckier than you realize. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I
crazy.
mean, even the fact that you were able to kind of like go around town, like being such a louder version of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, wait, like everyone else gets to do this everywhere all the time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, my husband and I grew up in Connecticut, so like we live in like the most liberal place, and even here it's like Connecticut.
There's still moments. There's still
like,
moments.
I'm especially now post terrible election. Like I'm especially happy to be here. We have very good protective laws, and we have very good legislators. And people who generally look out for the LGBTQ community. But all that being said, yes, there absolutely is still self-check. No matter where you go. I could probably go to like a gay a bar or whatever, and I'd still feel like, who's actually here? Like, or who's outside, or like,
Yeah.
or like, am I going to be targeted for some XYZ reason? And so we have a group of friends that we go to P-Town with, who are not all gay, but we go, pretty routinely. And it really is such a strange feeling in a good way. But it's
it's singular.
So weird.
It is very, very singular. And it's like something that like, I didn't have any desire in the past to make like a habit of intentionally going to like gay destination places. Because I was like, that's fun, but it's like, it's whatever. It's hokey. It's kind of maybe not for me. I went to Provincetown and I was like, I need to know what every place in the world like this is like immediately. I was like, this is one of the best feelings I've ever had, and the most centered I've ever felt, which, to be fair, also, it's like, it's a fucking like rich neighborhood.
Oh,
so
for
it
sure.
It feels like, oh shit, I'm like in it, and I'm kind of like,
I could
living
never
large.
live there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's that, and checking yourself on that point, but then also remembering it's like the reason it feels that good is not just that, it's that it's like, oh my God, I can not have any reservations about myself, which is great.
And
very powerful.
Despite living near it, I've never been to Fire Island. So like, I don't know.
I still haven't either.
Yeah. So, and like, frankly, like as someone who is a very timid person beyond the self-checking of gayness, that place has always kind of like not been my bag.
Yes. Yeah.
But like the thing that we love anyway about Provincetown is like, yes, as you're saying, you can ride down Commercial Street in a Speedo and like no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Or you can not do that and no one gives a shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, there's no pressure.
Nobody cares in a really beautiful way.
To be anything. And like, the fact that I can like hold my husband's hand and like sit with him and not care. And like that is so silly to like people who don't understand that. But no one gives a shit. And there's like families and stuff there. And I'm like, good for you. Like you don't care that like you're exposing your kids to like the real fucking world. And like, no one's like, fucking worried.
I know that there's also, it's so funny that we're so on this, but it's so fun to talk about. But like, there's the argument that could be made where it's like, a straight person would be like, oh, well, yeah, but in these parts of the city, you can do that anywhere. You can always be yourself. We always want you to be yourself. And it's like, that's always true to a point.
Yeah.
It is so conditional. Like you have no idea. There's always something that makes you have to be like, hold on, this might not be the right time type of thing. But then the magic of a place like that, like going to Provincetown, it was just, I never even thought that way for a second. The whole time I was there, I was just like, excuse my French, like I am a faggot and I can do that the whole time I am here.
Yeah.
Dawn to dusk and just live my truth the entire time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to have to bleep that out. I'm sorry, but it's just
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean,
great.
So I hope you come back. I hope you come back
me
to
too.
P-Town.
Oh my God. I had a blast. I have other friends I know now that like I missed by like a week or something when they had gone, and I was like, oh my God, I need to go back. So
were you there during like a themed week?
It was okay. Circling back completely, because we were talking about Big Boys.
Was it Bear Week?
No, it was before that when Provincetown Film Festival was happening. The whole point of why we were there. I've never gotten to go to that. It was that our movie, Big Boys, had its festival premiere at Provincetown Film Festival, which is why I went with Corey, the director, and we like, got to answer Q&A and all this sort of stuff. And so that was like very invigorating, very, very cool.
Yeah. I know we've gone like every summer for the past 3 or 4 years, that every year we just like happen to go at a different theme. So like last year was Bear Week. Year before that was Carnival. Oh my God. They do all these things. I mean,
lots of themes.
They love a theme.
Yeah. Most of my friends that I know that have gone go during Bear Week, and I haven't done that yet. So that would be fun.
I've heard this, just like Bear Week tends to be the most like populated week. Like, obviously not everyone who goes during that week is of the bear community, but like for some reason that's the week that like everybody goes.
Yeah.
It was very busy, but it was fun. Yeah, P-Town's great. I mean, yes, it's a bougie, rich, very wealthy place I could never live. But the Cape is really lovely and pretty, and it's like you can be in the thick of it, like you're saying, or you can ride your bike 5 minutes out of town and like go sit on a beach and just like
and we did a ton of that too. Yeah,
right?
we rode
It's
our bikes
so nice.
everywhere.
It's
That's
so
like
nice.
that's also become my thing. Just being a person who now cycles in LA, which is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But just biking as like a means
Yeah.
of getting to know a new place is just the best thing ever. So if I ever have time off in a place, that's gonna kind of be my go-to way of experiencing it. Is just getting a biking everywhere. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping we get to go next summer. It's just nice to go there and be like free.
Be
you know?
free. Be free.
It sounds, for people who don't get it, you actually do get it. You just don't realize that you get it. Anyway, that was a big tangent, but I don't really care. We're basically out of time. But I did want to say before we leave, beyond your Big Boys score, I was a very big fan of your Bee and Puppy Cat score.
Thank you.
Because we like happened upon that show, and I wonder if a lot of people also happen upon that show. I had no pre-knowledge of it. It was just like suddenly on Netflix, like the whole thing. And so we started watching it. It's so fucking weird.
Yes.
And it's so silly and strange, and I like didn't know what was going on half the time. But like right away, I was like, I think that's Baths making this music. Like, I feel
you could just sense it.
Yeah, I could just sense it. There's a sensibility that I think a lot of your work has, especially your more ambient work.
Thank you.
And it's on vinyl now, so I can actually go like buy it.
Yes,
which is so nice.
Very, very sick. That's been one of the biggest processes for this Baths record coming up, is getting the vinyl together, because oh my god, I had to do all of that too. Like I got the art commissioned, but like doing layout and stuff, it's new for me, and I'm like not great at Photoshop. I had a lot of help, but I figured it out. So
I'm glad. Do you do you have any fun colors we can look forward to?
I don't know necessarily if it's that, but it's like it's just the art is fucking gorgeous, and it's a collaborative effort with an illustrator I've been a fan of for the better part of a decade. Literally, probably my favorite illustrator on the planet. And he did the artwork for it, and it's
nice.
The best I will ever have an album look. You know what I mean? So I'm thrilled for people to see it, and I made sure we got it right in the process. It took a very long time for the layout to be like perfected.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll say it strongly right now. The new Baths record, Gut, is out February 21st via your own label, Basement's Basement.
Yes.
Thank you, Will, so much for chatting with me.
Yeah, this was great. I love to chat, if you can't tell, and I love
people who love to chat, so that's great.
Yeah, this is very, very fun. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Will.
Of course.
Take care.
Okay, you too. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.